Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And hello, everyone. So glad to be with you again. Another amazing Spiritual Rockstar podcast. And I have an amazing guest with me today again, of course, right? They just keep coming. I've got Felicia with me today, and she's amazing. She's got enormous passion for helping people to realize their dreams. I'm looking forward to learning more why that is. Why? I'd love to know why. Why is it she has so much passion for that? And she has such a I want to say what is that infectious in a good way or whatever, kind of energy, like you just you just really love connecting with her energy. She's so kind, she's so beautiful, and I know she's got incredible wisdom to share with you, to help you to learn how to empower yourself to discover and express your best self and live your dreams finally. And so I'm looking forward to hearing what she's got to share. She is a huge expert in this. So we're going to get into it in just one moment. Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation today. Okay, Felicia, good. So glad to have you.
It's a delight to be here, Daniel. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Yes, it's so great to have you. Let me tell you more about Felicia. Felicia's purpose is her passion to empower you to discover and express your best self as you create the life that you love. It doesn't get better than that. As an award-winning transformational coach, international speaker, author, and minister, she has helped thousands create a path for living their dream life. For over 20 years, Felicia has worked with people from all walks of life who are seeking the spiritual side of success rather than like the old ideas of success, right? So anyway, I just believe, especially with the theme of the show, Felicia, it's so brilliant. It's a spiritual side of success. Maybe I'm giving way too much by saying this, but it's like, oh my God, it's not about this idea that we've got to achieve some specific thing and otherwise we're not worth it, all that kind of thing, but that it comes from this deeper place and everything. And that's what Spiritual Rockstar is really kind of all about. So for sure. It's so perfect that we are having you on the show today, and so glad about that. And I would really love to learn more though about what has captivated you. I mean, I know some of it has to do with, man, I had a teacher in my life that really got me going on this idea of living your dream life. But sometimes part of the story may look like that, but I think that's true for you. But also I feel like it comes from a deeper space. So what is it in your life that you ran into limits and the idea, no, you can't have your dreams, you got to kind of just live this sort of life and all that so many of us are hit up with as kids? I was fortunate. Again, we all have our mixed bag of parenting usually. It's all different things, but I was always told well, anything's possible. You can do anything, it's kind of the vibe. And so I was fortunate, but then I had all the cultural conditioning, all the same. Mm-hmm. All right, what are you going to be? What are you going to do when you go? All these ideas of success, and we're imprinted. So even if you have parents that are super encouraging, you're still getting imprinted with all these ideas everywhere else. So what did you face? What did you face that kept you in the sense of you can't, you can only do so much and all that. So I'd love to hear your story about that.
Yeah. So, it was, let me preface this, by saying that I really get that we choose our circumstances, right? That as a soul development, we partner with the universe to orchestrate circumstances that will invite us into that next level of revelation and evolution that we're meant to do in this lifetime. So with that said, my holy self chose an environment that was, let me share it, less than optimal. It was dark. It was extremely violent, abusive. Both my parents suffered with addiction and mental illness. And so my view of the world became very small, and that it was a really scary place and you kept your head down. And my conscious awareness of spirituality was that, God was not a safe place to go. And there was this underlying identity that I took on. And as a kid, we don't have a filter, right? But an underlying identity that somehow I did something to cause this, and it meant that I was unworthy, and that there was something I had to do to be able to figure out how to fix it. That is, it was up to me to fix the broken people in my life, and I failed. I utterly failed at it. And I hit that place. I'll never forget where I was. I had just graduated from college. I went back to the high school that I graduated high school from. And so I was, in a school where some of these kids were just a couple of years younger than I was. And I'm looking down this long hall, and just that feeling of utter despair and defeat. And, is this what life is all about? And looking down that hall thinking, oh my God, this is my life, and do I even want to go on with this life? There was just such a sense of despair, and like there was this black spot on my soul, and I couldn't figure out how it got there, and I couldn't figure out how to scrub it off. It's those moments that are the holy moments, Daniel, right? It's like the moment before the opening that creates the opening, because it was in that moment that I knew either something had to change or I wasn't long for this earth any longer. And I laugh because I grew up in a spiritual tradition where, suicide was a mortal sin. And, if you committed suicide, you were buried outside the cemetery. And for some reason, that mattered to me. It's kind of crazy where our heads go in those really dark, desperate moments. And it was shortly after that I got introduced to spiritual law, to spiritual principles. And more than anything, I got introduced to a concept, a principle, and which went deeper into a sense of communion and companionship with the very power that wove us into existence. And it was as I began to develop that relationship, I realized that my past impacted me, but it didn't define me. And that I, through a very long process, I was able to really own the gift of growing up in that environment gave me, because it taught me such profound compassion. And it taught me how to really be tuned into people, and I don't mean to exaggerate, but literally I had to be able to read the temperature of the room, and there were times when my life depended on that, getting it right kind of thing. Right. And I honed an ability to truly be present with people. And as I grew in my spiritual journey, I've been able to be present with people without taking it on, but to have deep compassion. And as a result of that, of developing that relationship with the very energy of love itself, and then coming to understand that we've been given this unprecedented capacity to create, that we've been given this capacity in our imaginative faculty to be able to see images, and that those images are the genesis of all creation, and that it is the way that we communicate with this invisible field around us. And so not only are we loved, but we've been given this amazing gift to be able to use this imagination for it to then be the creative process where we're in conversation with life force energy. As I deepen my understanding of that, it's like I stepped out of the basement of myself and stepped into a technicolor world. I love that scene in The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is by far my favorite movie. And I love that scene where Dorothy walks out of the house and it's black and white, and she steps into Munchkin Land, Oz, and it's, brilliant color. And she says, Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Right.
And it's like, that's, not that it's like I went on the hero's journey, but that's what it felt like. And my life just, it's breathtaking, the difference. There's nothing in my history that would said, I would be here living the life that I'm living today, talking with you. And if it can happen for me, it can happen for anybody. And that I am on fire, and I have a stewardship and accountability to share with people how to transform your life. And you don't have to come from the background that I came from. It just, it makes it a whole lot more interesting story, and, adds credibility that this stuff really works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It does. I mean, and so I love so much what you said. So coming from a background that you came from, kind of like, I mean, by our cultural standards, one of the worst kind of backgrounds to come from in terms of like what we would call a bad background, right? Like it's
Mhm.
one of the worst type of backgrounds. And it's like, okay, so you're that example then of like, hey, don't tell me about it's because of your background. Like I've got a background too. Like, and I felt like there's no way out. Like I didn't believe there's any way out, at times. And yet there was a guiding light that was there for you, right? And that
Yeah.
that somehow, I think, what's interesting, what I wonder about sometimes is I know it is possible for all of us to break through and to open up to all that's possible for us and everything. I know that. And I kind of wonder sometimes, like, why is it some of us, like, throughout our life, seem to be aware of that there's more potential and it's even there in those times, whereas maybe other people maybe not as much. I don't know. I don't even know. I haven't researched it enough to know, but
Yeah.
I tune into your energy. I can feel it right away. I'm like, oh, she kind of sensed the light was there. She kind of sensed there was more possible. She kind of felt that energy even back then. It was sort of around, it's sort of there. It's pretty interesting. So I guess my question is, does it seem to be more present with some people in your experience that we have these kind of sense of like, when I was a kid, for example, I was depressed, I was anxious, I was called Mr. Invisible.
Mhm.
I was kind of the least popular kid in some ways because like I was just so invisible, other than to the mainly two friends that I had that I hung around with who were fairly popular, and are maybe not the most popular kids in the entire class, but my point is, I just had this sense I'm meant to do big things, and it's a spiritual impact. I could feel that
Yeah.
back then. I knew it
Yeah.
back then. I had no reason why. I just had the feeling, and so I'd love going to church. I go to church on my own even, and things like that. And so that was always with me. And I just knew I wanted to make an impact in that area. And sometimes I thought, oh, I'll probably be a minister, like you became a minister. Right? I thought that would probably be it. I'll be this big time minister at some point. Like that idea grew over the years, and then it died out once I started seeing like what a minister's life's like. And I'm like, okay, I don't like
You
that. I
ever
don't
get
like
that
that kind
feeling
of
again,
stuff.
Daniel? Just call me.
Right. I got on some church boards and stuff. I'm like, I don't know about this minister thing. Like, I mean, it's not all bad, but it's like, oh, I don't know, it's for me. And but my point is, like, I had that sense, and it brought me to where I am. How often do you find like people say, I just have known for the longest time this is what wants to happen, versus people are like, I just always thought like there's no possibility for me and all that stuff. Like tell me about that. Like what?
Well, I think deep down. So my experience is, because what's really interesting is that even in the midst of the darkness, I too had a deep sense that there was something more, right? That it was like this dichotomy inside, that there was, the human part that felt, constricted and scared and, staying below the radar. And then there was this deeper part of me that just knew and sought those situations out. To be in those spiritual experiences, and to be connected and fed in that way, and spend a lot of time in nature. And my personal belief is that deep down, there's some point, I think, when everybody has some level of awareness, whether or not that they know that that's what's going on, whether or not they can act on it. But I think the better question that I find myself asking is, what can I do to increase the number of people who are aware of that and can tap into it and then act on it? And I think the more of us that are committed to our spiritual path, our spiritual journey, understanding the power of universal intelligence, universal principles, that we create a critical mass, right? Is that we create an environment where more and more people can begin to feel that stirring and that awareness that there is something so much more, so much more magnificent seeking to wake up by means of them. And the entryway, and here's what's really fascinating. I don't know if fascinating is the right word, but I find it interesting, is that the entryway, right? The gateway to the spirituality drug kind of thing. The gateway is that, people become aware of their discontent. And I think we live in a world where it's becoming more and more people are having permission to acknowledge their discontent, that they're not living a life of, ungratefulness, and they should just be happy with what they have and, put your nose to the grindstone kind of thing. But I think we're developing a world, an environment, an atmosphere where more and more people can give themselves permission to tap into that discontent. I mean, when you look at our country alone, the Great Resignation, right? That people are saying, wow, this does not feel good. When you look at, especially, I've got 2 employees, and, one of them's late. I think she's going to be 30. And that her deep desire is to work from purpose, that she wants, both of my employees want to work from purpose. And so where I'm going with this is that the gateway into spirituality, my experience, and learning these laws, is giving yourself permission to really acknowledge the discontent, to begin to dream a dream, have a desire, let yourself have that desire. But what I help people understand is that the purpose is not the desire. That's not what we're after. It's great when it happens, that we want to celebrate when it happens. But when we really pay attention to what's knocking at the door of our heart in the form of a discontent and a desire, it is actually life force energy inviting us to come into a deeper sense of a relationship with the very power that's breathing us. And so it's you remember Harry Potter, when all those invitations would become flying through that little mail slot, and the owl was dropping them in the chimney, and our discontent and our desire is like, we're being flooded with invitations from life force energy saying, hey, I want you to know me more. And the way you're going to know me more is by tapping into this desire that I put on your heart, understanding that there is a substance here seeking expression, and it's useless. Life force energy is useless until there's a demand for it. Yeah. And there's a demand in the form of our desire. So we're not answering the call of our dream. We're answering the call of this infinite intelligence that's seeking to know, to have more access to us, and for us to know it more.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that it's very deep for me, like all these things. But on a practical level, we were talking about navigating our path, like a more tangible level. Otherwise, I'll get so into the deep waters. We'll be here for hours talking about that. But anyway, is this sense of, I love you keep hammering that discontent. Pay attention to the discontent. Like a lot of people, okay, I'm discontent. Oh, wait a minute, it's not so bad. I can just kind of love the life I have. I don't have any money. I can love that too. It's okay. And I don't have much health, but let me just be grateful for the health I have. And, and that's all good. Those are foundational, wonderful things. But we forget we can kind of be with all of the different spectrum of it, right? We can be totally grateful for what we have. We can also be like, it's going to change too, like where I'm at versus where I sense I'm at now versus where I want to be. That's changing, you can at the same time. So I think it gets confusing for people. What am I supposed to just kind of go with the flow and be grateful for everything? The universe will just throw a bunch of good stuff on me and it'll all work out. And yeah, kind of, but usually your deeper discontent is, only going to increase when you come from that kind of way of being, right? You have to tap into that discontent and allow that to come to propel you forward into the desire that's within it. The desire is like, wow, I want to explode I talk about this a lot these days. It's like, what is that mission? You know, I love Tony Robbins put on the map, for example, like, what's your why? What's your why? What's your why? Because it's like, what is it? Because there is something that stands your hair on fire that you would go to a whole other octave of your life to serve, right? There is something inside you that wants to come out, and it's a matter of just discovering what that is. And so when you're like, my life's so limited, there's so much discontent and anger and unhappiness and tragedy and trauma and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All that is fuel for the fire of what wants to come through you. So I think, that's so huge what you shared there. And I guess my question on it to ask you is, an expert in helping people with that is like, how do you, so when people come to you, and they're saying, but I'm limited, and but what about, because what they'll say is, yeah, I'm discontent, but it's my outer circumstances, right?
Yep.
Like I had
Yep,
someone
yep,
the other
yep.
day, she's actually prospering in her business. She has pretty good business, decent business. I mean, it's a lot better than a lot of other people's businesses. And it's like, she's like, yeah, but it's like this, nothing's happening. She's very ambitious. So she's like, nothing's happening. It's not working at the level, and I'm like, you need to get more connected. Like you're thinking it's out there and it's dictating to you.
Yeah.
It's the other way around. You need to come from the inside out. But so many people, even people that are more awake, like often they continue in the, no, it's happening. There is this, it's happening to us and to me. And so do you find like that's a huge part of the work, like is
Oh
realizing,
my gosh,
yeah,
that's the mastery, right?
right.
Yeah, it's like we're one thought away. We're one thought away from being a victim. All of us, right? It's just, it's
right.
so insidious that we're at the mercy of what's going on in our world. Even when we're deeply seeped in, this information and these principles. And some of the most, the level of mastery that, so let me back up. So when we talk about discontent, the discontent is then inviting us to, explore and entertain a different possibility, right? And that we've been given this unprecedented faculty called our imagination. I love that Napoleon Hill says that it's the most powerful, miraculous, inconceivable energy that the world has ever known, is our imagination. And most people use it to terrorize themselves. And so, when we understand that the discontent is the signal from our soul seeking to wake us up to more of who we are, then to turn that and to begin to form a very clear, specific vision based on, the desire that's being informed by the discontent. And then to learn to master the use of our imagination in the face of appearances that are not giving us permission, that are not, that are certainly not saying, hey, absolutely, you can do this. That's the invitation to deepen our relationship with this life force energy that's moving through us. Because, one of the things that I often hear, and it's a great starting point, people talk about manifestation. I want to manifest. I want to manifest a car. I want to manifest a house. I want to manifest a mate. I want to manifest a job, whatever. I want to manifest. Then they talk about, I just need to raise my vibration. If I just raise my vibration, then I'm going to manifest it, right? And that works to a certain degree, but it's like trying to hold a beach ball down underwater, right? That you can raise your vibration, you can dance, you can sing, you can listen to happy music, and you've got your vibration raised while you're visualizing this movie, and it will happen. But what's lost in that explanation is that the real purpose for the dream is to wake you up to more of who you are created to be. So when you focus on, so who is my dream asking me to discover about myself? Who is my dream asking me to grow into? Where are the areas where I am being invited to develop and to know? And what is it that I'm being asked to let go of that's no longer serving, in order for something more expansive to come along, like more confidence, more boldness, more courage, whatever it is. that when we focus on that, your vibration rises automatically. You're embodying that new way of being. So not only do you manifest it, but now you actually get to be in the experience of that manifestation, because you're not looking around wondering, how long is it going to last? Or, right? Or thinking, I don't really belong here, that this is a fluke, that you brought yourself with you. And I think that is a really important element in this whole, building your dream and desire and discontent, is that the dream is asking you to discover more of you. So you bring yourself along the journey. So when your outer changes, right, you are a match for that, and you can be in that life.
Right.
I don't know, was there a question in there somewhere?
No, I mean, everybody, like, I find like people are so magnetized to raise your vibration and see the results. Like, people are so magnetized that I had a summit years ago. It's called, raise your vibration and grow your healing business. And we had, so many people opt in for that summit. It was very successful. And the idea of like it can be that simple, like people love that, like people love just oh yeah, the good energy, but I have to say, I still promote that. I still promote the idea that it's
Absolutely
part of it, right? But I think like where we miss it, especially as spiritual seekers, healers, etc., is it's like, again, that whole thing where, for me, I look at past lives and everything, like we're just so sick of this human stuff. Let's just go to the next dimension and get out of our bodies and or float up there in the high vibes. And it's like what you're saying, and in my own interpretation, but is, yeah, we want to raise up, but we also want to get in body. You bring your full self forward with it, and, I think that's what you're saying is like, yeah, anybody can manifest a parking spot or, a few extra $100
or parking angel.
Yeah, or a trip or a new dream client for, a moment here or there. But how's the overall picture? Is it really that tremendously transformatively different? And usually the answer is no. Maybe you feel better, maybe you're getting some new things, but you're not fulfilled. You're like, no, I got a lot of discontent still, right? And you have to work with the discontent, is what I'm hearing you say. Is that right?
Yeah, and understanding that there's the way that I describe it's the difference between episodic manifestation and then true transformation, and really understanding that the purpose of your discontent, which then translates into your desire, is the catalyst that universal intelligence, life force energy, whatever you want to call it, uses to help you discover more of your magnificence, more of your brilliance, more of who we are really created to be. So then it becomes the process as you step in and build that dream. It becomes the process to grow us, to spiritually mature us, right? And to really understand who we really are and what our real purpose here is in life. That the desire, the dream is truly the way that when we really step into it and allow it to transform us at depth, now we're bringing our highest impact. We're bringing our highest contribution. And so it's to truly be willing to be in the journey of allowing your dream to inform who is it that life is asking you to become more of.
Right. Exactly. Like, part of the things that sometimes I would avoid would be, I don't know if I want to be so much about sales and all this stuff in my work. Maybe I just want to be a spiritual guy and all this stuff. And then I just kept, my discontent kept bringing me back to, you love sales. You can be very powerful in helping people with sales. You got to focus on sales. You got, like, it can just, and every time I'd be brought back, at times on my journey, I'd be like, oh crap, I got to go back to sales. And and because I was resisting that, because I kept thinking, oh no, I'm supposed to be the spiritual leader guy. That's what so many other people say about me and everything. And realizing, no, it's like, that's why a lot of times, like some of the clients that come to me that want just clearings and things like that. I had one today. I was like, she's like, well, I don't get the problem is you tune in really deep. You could do clearing. And she didn't say this, but this is basically what I was hearing. And you could be doing all this. Why are you hesitating? Why don't you make me an offer? Why don't you work with me? I'm like, because I love business coaching and I want to help you there as well. I don't want to just focus on the clearings. Like that's what it came down to. And
Yeah,
you
great
know, yeah,
awareness, Daniel.
yeah,
Listening, right? That
yeah,
deep
yeah,
listening.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
so
And you
what'd you
gotta
do?
listen. Like if something feels off, is that to not to go there. And part of me would say like, oh, it's not right, or what. You get these concepts. When you get in your head, like it's a really dangerous thing in a way. So so we
Like
get
dangerous
in our
neighborhood,
head,
don't
right?
go in alone.
Yeah, yeah. So, but then I wanted to back things up because I know, like, when I talk to, when I've seen it myself, I've seen it with other coaches. I have a client who's worked with gazillions of people over the years, and he always talks about he's keenly aware that people are so unclear on what the hell they want. They don't really know. They say they know what they want,
Yeah,
but they don't really know what they want. And I agree with that. Like I do see that so often. They just say, well,
yeah,
I don't know, I guess I want more clients, I want to see some increase in my business. And so I'm like, that's so general. Like that doesn't mean it, that's not going to get you any results. Like you got to be much more, you do have to become more specific. You
yeah.
definitely have to tap into the energy of what you want. So how do you help people with that when people come in and are like, I know you got like even a formula to, how you help people realize their dreams and everything, but how do you help people in the first place understand what their dream is? Because they might be like, I want to save all the kids in Ethiopia and everything. And they think like this is their dream, but it's not really their dream. It's just an idea they have, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you help people really discover what is source or
Yeah.
God or whatever, trying to really is put in them to do and as to live and to be, like how do you help bring that people into that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And if let me use a specific illustration to show you, because this is some of the key work that I do, because you're
Mhm.
right. Most people come into this, some of them have an idea, it may even be a little fleshed out, but when they get in and really start listening deeply, they're just oftentimes stunned by, what gets revealed. And I have an amazing client, she's still with me, Summer, she had a really good job. She worked corporate. It was an enviable job, making multiple six figures.
Mhm.
And it was safe,
Mhm.
right? That she had the security, she had a retirement, she had all the benefits, highly respected in her position, but deeply dissatisfied. And, one of the things that I always have so much admiration for people who have the courage to hear the discontent, especially when things are going well, right? We can hear it when, stuff's going to heck in a handbasket kind of thing. That's easy. But when things are going well and outside looking in, people are, they're envious. It's like, my God, you got it so good. And you're sitting there saying, yeah, but man, I'm just so dissatisfied. She courageously, stepped in and, we started working together. And the thing that's required, Daniel, is courage. It takes courage and vulnerability to be able to hear what it is that you really want. And the thing that I keep bringing people back to is, and I've said it several times here, is deepening your relationship with this life force energy that's seeking expression through you. Because there's a part of you that wants it, and there's a part of you that's terrified to even hear what you want, because if you hear what you want, then you're going to have to face the discontent that's kind of simmering down underneath. And then if you really pay attention to that, you're going to have to do something. And there's no guarantee. We can say that, just think it and it will happen. And yes, I believe that, but there's a journey, right? There's a journey to becoming the person who's in harmony with what's seeking expression through you. And you know, we have no idea what the gestation period is. We don't know what's on the path for us to become that person. And for most of the population, that can be a really scary thing. It's like, you know, I know this, I know how to do this, I know how to organize my life with this. It's not bad, it's okay. I don't know how to do that. And I haven't developed a trust that that will actually be better than this. And so to develop the courage to be able to feel the depth of discontent, especially when things are going well, you know, that's really the first place that we start. It's just acknowledging and you know, really cultivating the courage, number one, to really pay attention to the discontent, and then the vulnerability to this life force energy, allowing yourself to be vulnerable to source energy, to be able to hear the desire and to develop a deeper sense of well-being and connection, knowing that as you deepen your connection with that life force energy, you have access to all that is. So you're being given everything that you need, but you got to you have to literally build a case for that. You have a case for this. You don't have a case for this. And so, you know, we start with building a foundation and deepening your awareness and, you know, your sense of communion with this life force that's moving through you. And then to build a case that life really wants you to live your dream and that it's got you. You know, the universe has got your back. And so, you know, to start really honing your noticing factor that, wow, yeah, there are these things that are really happening in my favor, because we've been so honed to notice what's not working in order to keep us where we are, right? And so it's a mastery skill to notice, number one, to pay attention to your desire, to trust your desire, that there's something bigger behind your desire, and then to hone your ability to build a case that this, you know, universal intelligence really wants this desire through you. And then to understand that's not your desire. This is the thing that I love. And people just go, oh my God, this is the key that unlocks so much for so many people to really get, we don't have desires. They're not our desires. It's not our dream. It's life dreaming its dream through us. So
Right.
we don't have a dream. We receive a dream. We allow the dream to be revealed. And then we accept that gift and that assignment that comes with it.
Right. Yeah. In a sense, we don't have a dream. It's something that's been placed inside of us. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
That's it. Something bigger at work through us.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, so one of the big things I think could be huge for people to break through out of stuckness, because the stuckness is you're not willing to pay attention. For me, like for example, like some of the times when I've had issues in business is when I started saying I don't want to focus on sales and helping people with sales. You know, let me just focus on all the, you know, the spiritual stuff, or, you know, basically. So like, let me just focus more on that and other aspects. You know, I can help people find their passion and this and that or whatever other things. But let me not put, and I always stayed with it, but like I wouldn't put a sharp focus on it. Like, but the more I would come back to sales, and I was willing to, you know, kind of pound on the table about sales and visibility, and you better start showing up because we are 5D beings and we got deep gifts and it's time to show up. We're not going to be persecuted anymore. It's time for things to shift in the consciousness. You're part of leading that way, and it's time now. Let's go. And like it's a whole different octave, but it requires sales, and that people need to embrace sales. And my discontent is, like, I've seen it like in my parents. I was given parents that would shy away from doing sales and marketing. It drive me nuts. I mean, like, your businesses are nowhere because you're not, I mean, they had, you know, semi-success, but they weren't doing marketing and weren't doing sales. Yeah. It's like, no wonder you don't have clients. You don't have, you know, they weren't being discontent enough. Like, they weren't finding the discontent that maybe lied within them, perhaps. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, we are told, like, oh, pay attention to what you want, just focus, hey, focus on it and manifest it. We're not usually told what you're saying, which is so brilliant, which I agree with so much, is like, and what I've been focusing people on is like, lately, especially, it's like, what pisses you off? What are you upset about? What that your dream lies within that far more than what you think your desire is. I believe anyway. I think you're gonna get more to the deeper energy and truth of it. Is what I've been finding anyway. I don't know. You're the one that
Yeah, well, I
thinks about
think there's a both and here, right? That
yeah, yeah, yeah,
there's a both
yeah,
and by the way, I I love as you're describing that you keep coming back to sales, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
it and and just as a side note, the thing that I had to discover about that, and what I get a sense from you, Daniel, you're so brilliant at helping people with this, is understanding the service in it.
right, exactly.
That there's profound service and being able to hold a space for somebody, for
Mm,
them to see a possibility and then understand that you have a solution and that you really can help them, and for them to be able to see that for themselves to the degree that they can then cross over and make that decision for themselves. And that's what you're helping people do, is to be
right,
able to own their value and then create, hone that ability to hold the space for somebody
right,
and then be able to receive the exchange,
right,
right? Be able to
right.
receive that's a holy work that you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, thank you. Thank you for putting it. See, and those are the things. It's like we always make it something else. Well, sales, that isn't the Holy Spirit for work. That's something
yeah, no,
like, no, that's totally
that's
holy
holy
work.
work. What you're doing is helping people really understand the reverent service that they,
Yeah.
and when they back away from it, that they're actually doing the person a disservice. So back to
Right.
what you were talking
Yes,
about,
yes, yes.
you know, discontent and then desire. I think it's a combination. I don't think we hang out in our discontent long. So Summer, she came in, she dug in, and she courageously built a case that the universe was actually working in her favor, working through her. And the more she was able to see that, the more she was able to tap into her desire, trust the origin of her desire, the nature of her desire, and then hear what she was being called to do, and then take that mighty courageous step of stepping away from that really good corporate job, where she had retirement. She's in her mid-30s. I'm like, oh, honey, I'm 62. It's like, you have so much life ahead of you to be worrying about your retirement 40 years from now or something like that. I kind of just giggled with her. It's like, no, that one's not going to fly. But to be able to really have the courage and the awareness that she's standing on a foundation, to be able to hear her desire and then act on it, as she built the case that the universe was really here in her behalf. And so I think that, we don't want to get stuck in discontent. We want it enough to be able to ignite and activate something in us, to then build an awareness that the desire is waking up inside of us, and to really get clear on what is the source of that desire. What is the origin of desire?
Yeah, 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 yeah. We don't have to go around pounding the table every single moment of every day.
Yeah.
But that energy is, like I always say, it's something that wants to become awake inside of you. That sense of disconnect, and to
Yeah.
find that. So yeah.
It will find a way to express. You'll either express it expansively, or it will implode you in some
Right.
way.
Right.
But
Yeah.
life flows. It has
Right.
to express.
Right. Totally. Totally. So, yeah, I mean, so once, let's say, I've got a couple more questions here, maybe for you. So as we tap into that, as you help people tap, they start getting clear, oh, this is what it is and everything. And the energy gets going, maybe start taking actions. You talk about this momentum, that people start finding a momentum. I would say, like, maybe they get into it and they're like, they trip over their shoelaces and they're like, that's what I thought. I can't have what I want, and they won't work out for me. Like,
Oh my
and
God.
you can
Yeah.
lose momentum right away, right? So how do
Yeah.
we establish a nice firm foundation for momentum, so that, when things don't seem to be working out, or, like, I've been at this thing for a while, people say, right? I've been at 20, 30, 40, 50 years even
Yeah.
sometimes. I don't know if it's ever going to work out for me. And, people get in it. But once they start getting a little momentum, but then they hit the adversity and like, oh, no, this isn't going to work out for you. That voice comes in, right? Like, so it's
Yeah.
almost, I swear, I know it's just like the metaphorical angel devil on the shoulder. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
No,
can't.
I believe me, I get
How do
it.
you, how do you work with that? Yeah.
Well, here's the thing that we all have that, right? I mean, I
Right.
was bumping up against my edges this morning.
Yeah.
We've got some things that we're putting into place, and it's like, oh my gosh, is this really
Yeah.
going to work, kind of thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's understanding that we are ever evolving beings, and that there's a part of us that wants to go forward. That's the dream. That's the desire. And then there's a part that's going to fight like crazy to keep us right where we are, no matter where we are in our stage of evolution. And so my highest recommendation for people to stay in momentum, it's to do what I do. I stay in structures of support. I keep myself at the feet of powerful teachers that I deeply honor how far I've come, and I stay humble to what I don't know, understanding that my dream is always going to invite me into a deeper awareness of how these laws work and this life force energy. And so, to reach out to you, Daniel, and say, hey, Daniel, I'm stuck in my business. I need help. And to abandon the Lone Ranger syndrome, that we can't do it alone. I mean, you could, but you're only going to get so far on your own. But if you're really serious about making the impact, making the difference, building the business, building the life that deep down is yours to do, then reach out. Daniel, I've listened to you. You are brilliant at this. And so I'm just encouraging anybody who's listening, don't walk, but run and grab whatever Daniel's offering and let him help you.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole thing, you can't do it alone. Like, I got it loaded up in my emails. I'm sending out to people as one of the messages I will be sharing, is reminding people of that. I know it's often said, and I think it's important to address it, because I think maybe some people are like, I don't know, my own consciousness, even, I guess, is how I recognize it. It's like, oh, maybe that's just a marketing line. You can't do it alone. You better come over there. But I swear, when I review it to see what the real truth is, it's like, you look at success, and the people who are having success, they always have mentors. They always have somebody helping them. I've never seen anybody to have any significant success that didn't have mentors or coaches or whatever form it was, but like, they have the help, they have the support to have that kind of success. I've never found anybody that that I've been around anyway, that has done it all on their own. I mean, they've had, even if it was their parent, like my parent, my dad was my mentor. Okay, I mean, you still had a mentor. You had somebody that was helping you every step along the way. It comes in one form or another, or maybe it's even, sometimes, I know some people say, it's inappropriate, but it depends. It might have been your spouse. There's a wind beneath your wings, helping you every step along the way. There's got to be that support there for something, and usually it's you're going to have a number of mentors in your life and support structures. So that's
I don't ever
what
want to dream that I can do on my own.
Yeah, exactly. If you can do it on your own, it's not big enough, right? So
that's it.
I agree with that. I mean, you can't, right? I mean, I think one of the reasons why maybe I have had all kinds of support and things and all that, the teams and all that, I've had that sort of stuff in my business. But one of the things I've recognized for myself is like, it's probably a mirror, but like, sometimes the idea comes up within the business. It's like, yeah, you could take this further, go here. Oh, it might get complicated then, you'll have too much money to count, and
what if I mess up on my taxes?
Too many people to answer to and everything. And there's some truth maybe to it, but all those things can be handled. All those things can be handled if you bring in the support that you need to handle those things. So it just ends up being kind of a, like a mental excuse, like to shoot down the expansiveness of what wants to come through you. So
and I think it's to not underestimate the power of that gravitational pull back to the familiar, right? That it's and that's why it's to really understand what's going on. And again, the difference between episodic manifestation and true transformation, to learn how to navigate that part of you and bring that part of you along, and to get help.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Well, I know you have something to share with everybody to help them to start, you know, understanding like what really wants to help come through them, and to start gaining momentum, and then to master momentum. But, you have to get started somewhere first, and then you can learn how to master momentum from there. So let's first talk about what you have to offer people, and then I want to do a little bit of follow-up with you actually today. Some questions I feel we still haven't asked you. So yeah, could you share that with people?
Yeah, so I created a training, 3 keys to making an impact with your dream, because people who are attracted to this conversation, deep down, they want to make a difference, right? And that there really is a formula for success. And so I made, a short training just to walk you through some steps on how to get clear about your dream and bring it forward, so you are making the impact that you are created to make. I mean, every single one of us is here to make a difference. And that's when we're most alive. When we are living that life that we love and we're really making that impact, that's when we're most alive. So it's just a real quick but powerful training of 3 keys to making an impact with your dream.
Awesome. Awesome. We're going to put the link below for everybody to take advantage of that. And then, of course, you can find Felicia all over the internet, right? I mean, I'm sure you're probably on all the social media platforms.
Yeah.
I seem to have found you on a couple of them. So, so yeah, so you can check out Felicia out all over the place. So, all right, great. Thank you for that. And then the other thing was I wanted to ask you about is because you talk about really mastering momentum. It's funny because that word really stood out to me. For whatever reason, I was guided back. I never really was a big student of it, but like, I had, dabbled a little bit here and there with the Abraham stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I've been listening to that stuff more, and I have one of the books I never read. I bought it, and then I never really read it. So I kind of know all that stuff anyway. It's kind of how I think sometimes, in the past more so than now. But so I never happened to read it. Now I'm starting to read it. But there's a lot of talk in there about momentum, and like one of the things I've been saying lately is like, I'm just following the sense of momentum. Where's the momentum right now? Where's the momentum? Like, it's like one of the things that you want to maintain a momentum. You want to get momentum going. You want to have breakthrough momentum. Well, first you need to get the energy going, but then once it starts going, notice the momentum and then keep going with it, right? Like, so I wanted to know more about, because you talk about mastering momentum, and that's kind of where I'm like, I want to hear more about that. So how can you help people to master momentum?
Yeah. So what's interesting is that once things get going, people actually start getting nervous about it, and they want to put the brakes on, right? They want to drive with the brakes on. And so it's to really hone your ability to celebrate the baby steps, to build a case for, I keep coming back to building a case, to build a case that this new life really is better, right? And so you're noticing the changes that are happening. You're noticing the wins. You're owning those things. You're cultivating gratitude. I know none of this is new, but what you're doing is that you're supporting yourself and being able to allow this new degree of good in. We have to literally grow our capacity to allow more good to flow through us, right? We have to learn how to accommodate more good, to not shut it down. And so one of the key things in building momentum is learning how to recognize when when your results are changing, to really own when those results are changing, and to support yourself in allowing that new good to come in. So you have to literally train yourself to accommodate that new abundance, freedom, fulfillment, flow, in order for you to keep going and not put the brakes on.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, when I sense that momentum, it's like, well, I'll follow it until like it doesn't feel like momentum anymore. If I'm on like it's a sense of a track or a strategy or whatever, it could show up in the different ways, but like there's a sense of, and even calling it momentum, I think is powerful, because it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of happening. It's got its own energy now, right? We're just
Yep, yep.
flowing with
It
that.
takes
And
on a
then
life of its own.
the minute you start saying like, well, I don't know if that momentum's happening, maybe I better improve things and make it better. You like start chopping up
Yeah.
the momentum, right?
Well, and it's always where are we placing our attention,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
you can always find things that are
yeah,
not going right. Always. I mean, there's
exactly.
lots of evidence for a lot of
Exactly.
things, but we get to choose. It's like,
Right.
we have this amazing ability to place our focus wherever we want to place our attention. So that's another key thing is to really master your ability to pay attention to the things that will move you forward, and then to notice your energy. When does something feel expansive and when does it feel contractive? And it's not that fear or disappointment, but truly that contractive energy of being guided in a different direction, of being able to trust if and when it's time to shift directions. But you're shifting directions, but not necessarily slowing your momentum down. You just may shift what it is that you're doing.
Mhm.
I mean, COVID did all of that to us, right? In terms of, we can still keep our
Yeah.
momentum going. We're just shifting the way we're doing things.
Right. You need to slow down that momentum or shut it down.
Yeah,
New
yeah.
momentum
But
going.
how
Yeah.
are we relating to it, right? What are we making it mean? And then
Right.
the way we make something means then becomes the organizing principle
Yeah.
for our actions,
Right.
our identity.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It all calling us to level up, so to speak.
That's it. That's it.
100%. Yeah. So again, grab her 3 keys to living your dream of creating more impact. We've got the link in the notes below. It's FeliciaSearcy.com/3keys-to-impact. So it's FeliciaSearcy.com/3keys-to-impact. So check that out. Felicia obviously is a powerhouse of energy and wisdom. Like I told you, I promised you, and here it is. So I'm so grateful for what you have to share, and there's always so much more to gain and learn from someone like Felicia. 100%. So definitely check that out. And Felicia, yeah, it's come to the time of the show where I want to do a little tuning in to you to round things off today. You ready to receive some
I'm
tuning in?
absolutely ready to
Okay,
receive.
all right. So this is my world famous energy scanning, where I tune into people and see what's coming through. So let's see what's coming through today. Usually share 3 things. So let's come to me to share. Okay, so it's just the first thing is world-changing impact. That there's this fire energy coming through. So let me see more about that one. Follow that thread. It's like, I don't know if you have this in your mission statement or something, but it's a sense of millions, like we're gonna transform a million or millions of people's lives, awaken to their dreams and live them, or something like that. Like it's that vibe of like,
Yeah.
that energy is like comes through. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna tune into here is some of the stuff you're alluding to earlier with stuck energy, that where you're breaking through, right? So it's like, okay. Yeah, again, it just kept feeling like it is like, and maybe you said it, but like it's those technical details. It's like, I just see this frustration come over you again and again sometimes in your life. You're like, why the hell isn't it working? Get this thing working, damn it. I did this, I did that, it's still not working. Why is this not working? I see that kind of thing. And so, my reminder to you is to, when we get like that, and all this, but like it's a good reminder. It helps you to remember that, oh yeah, I need to practice that again. Okay. So it's like we start slipping out of presence. We're in this like whoosh, we leave the center of our being, our presence, and then we're just banging our head against the wall, and then eventually you come back in. But like what I'm saying is like the minute you start catching yourself, I'm just not connected. I just remember I'm not connected. Okay, get connected again. and all of a sudden, like some miracle probably happened. And that's what happens anyway, I'm sure. It's probably more delayed now than what it could be. So that's what I'm like, what a recommendation I'm giving to give to you. Let's see what else comes through. Yeah. Do you already have books or no?
Do I what?
You have books. Have you already written books? I'm not sure.
I wrote one,
Yeah,
and
because I
I've
think
got
you mentioned
another
that
one
in the
sitting
bio.
on my,
All right, I don't know. I get so floating around in the scanning, I don't remember. But anyway,
and then I have another one sitting on my desktop.
okay. So I'm getting like the sense of getting your books, like they need to get in like the spiritual gift, like gift shops, even like they're like I see like they're going on stands and spiritual kind of different places and bookshops, like that. This is a great way to market your business. Like we get so caught up on the online and like we're gonna drive a bestseller and we're gonna do it, but like this strategic placement of books I'm hearing could be really and like giving out copies, like that's not a new strategy, but like it's an old strategy, but like giving out free copies, and then I get a charitable sense of it, like giving it out to organizations that where they can give it to maybe it's children, perhaps, and are giving out like free copies, like X amount of copies or something. So something along those lines of getting this for you. So it's interesting. I'm getting some more strategy for you in this case. It's different each time. I never know what's going to come through each time I tune in for each guest. So anyway, so any quick feedback or yeah, reflections on what came through?
Well, I got a book sitting on my desktop. It's already been edited. It's just a matter of, getting it published. And so that keeps coming back around. And yeah, no, and I really appreciate the confirmation of, when that energy wants to get stuck, I feel things very passionately, in case you haven't noticed, right? And it's like, it's kind of all or, I'm all in wherever I am. And yes, and when that part of me wants to, I want this to work faster, coming back to source energy more quickly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm telling you, listen to that book strategy. There's those book strategies. There's pearls in there for you big time. So all right, if you want to check me out, go to yoursacredpurpose.com and take advantage of my Rock Your Sacred Purpose consultation if you're ready to rock. All right, that's the caveat. You need to apply for it too. So yeah, it's for real. So you got to be for real. Apply for it if you're for real. You're going to be ready to rock. And I'll take care of the rest to help you with it, right? To help you get into it, get into your power, get into your energy, get into your mission, and let this thing happen. Let it come through you. So anyway, check that out at yoursacredpurpose.com. Also get your free meditate, make money meditation, where you get to deepen into your presence, let the chakras get open and get into the deeper energy as well. I'm about all of it. I'm about like get into your discontent, get riled up, and then relax, get into the connected energy in that level too. Like we're meant to play with all of it. We're infinite beings. We need to play with all the energy. So anyway, get your guidance, get your downloads, get your attunements, get your energy signals in you through the Meditate, Make Money meditation for free at Your Sacred Purpose. Last thing, each Monday at 3 p.m. Central, unless I'm out of town or on vacation, on my Rock Your Sacred Purpose Facebook group, I do a live at Monday at 3 p.m. Central, where I share wisdom around usually like doing 5D sales. Sometimes I call it awakened sales, things like that, and helping you guys to understand what it is you need to hear from me to help you to progress. And the cool thing that people stay in line for is my energy scans and then some channeling and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, so check that out at Rock Your Sacred Purpose. All right, great. So I just so delighted to have had you today, Felicia. It's such a pleasure. And I'm just knowing and intending all the highest and greatest for your work. You're meant to raise up a lot of people on the planet. And I'm knowing all the support is there for it, and whatever it is that you're needing, I'm knowing it's already coming into fruition. because I'm already sensing, feeling it, presencing, bringing it into presence and saying yes to it. It's there, it's done, it's happening. So it is. All right.
No, it is. Thank you, Daniel, and right back at you.
Well, thank you. All right. And thank you for everybody for tuning in. Keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. Goodbye for now.
Listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.